Hello, this is Kevin Fisher. In this behind the scenes devlog video, we're going to be talking about the GUI systems in my game. I'm going to go ahead and switch views. Now, originally when I got started on this project, the GUI was originally implemented in a retained mode fashion. I'm going to explain the difference between retained mode and immediate mode later, but essentially these are two instances of a button class. I named it this particular name because I found that GitHub Copilot doesn't like it when you use swear words. And that's kind of a reference to that, but it's totally, it's just to kind of keep it from scanning my code. It's just kind of a fun thing I'm doing to it. Anyways, and also because I think I'm just the funniest guy in the world, you know. Anyways, this is retained mode. I am creating a class. It has an update function. It has callbacks. That's an important part to, I would say, retained mode logic, but it doesn't have to specifically be retained mode. I do not know if there are any React developers happening to be watching this, but you might know how when you're writing your code, you might create something that's like, it's a little bit weird to kind of put it right here in the middle of my CSharp code, but it would look like this, right? You'd like, do button or something, and then you would pass like on click like this. And you could actually give it like some sort of handler or something. You can totally do that in immediate mode. And as a matter of fact, I think I might even do something like that in maybe the next iteration, because there's just like, it's just useful to have. It's useful to pass along different kinds of callbacks, you know, through these things. But anyways, so yeah, retained mode. Update and a draw function, and it extends text GUI, which also has more logic, like, oh, here's how I do my bounds and how I draw the origin, all sorts of stuff, basically. Now, this was working fine when I didn't have too many GUI components to work with. Like, I just needed two buttons, you know. I'm just going to call a function that's going to return some points, and I can initialize the buttons at those 2 points because I know I only want two buttons, you know? At that time, I wasn't dealing with, say, like a dynamic list of items or anything like that. So very easy to lay out. And let's see if I can show you something here. Let me just kill Ludwig here. I can like reuse the points quite often, right? So it just is easy. You see, it's the same 2 points, just now it's two separate, different instances of a button, you know. And this is also the first instance where I was like, ooh, maybe I made a mistake trying to do this retain mode thing, because check this out. Let me go to the gameplay state, which is where all this stuff's kind of running. Let's see here. Do you see how I have like all these GUI managers? It's kind of like, say you're using Godot, say you're using Unity or something like that, and you create some sort of parent that holds all your UI, and then when you want to kind of like make a big change in state of your UI, it's like you hide all the other parents, you know, containing the GUI states, and you enable a different one. And in this case, what I'm doing is I have a switch statement here, which is reading my GUI state, and it is drawing and updating based on that. And it's difficult. Well, it's not necessarily difficult, but it is annoying. It's annoying to initialize a new GUI manager. It's annoying to update these switch statements, and okay, I'm sorry. It's inevitable that you have to make these. It's just that isn't it kind of silly that I have to do one switch statement for drawing the UI and then another switch state for the updating? What if you forget one of them? So I will kind of demonstrate some of the emergent benefits that I found from the immediate mode system as well, and part of that was not having to worry about putting anything really in the draw loop. It's just like I just call like imgui.render, and it will just render my UI. All the building of the UI happens in the update loop. If you're using Monogame, you might know there's like a dear I'm GUI nugget package you can get, and I was using that before, but I actually it's cool, but I like the I'm GUI system, and but I want it to aesthetically match my game. I have this, I don't know, maybe there's this thought that, retained mode has looks better because you can draw all these like make all these like functions and customize it to your liking, but it's like you don't have to use your I'm GUI to do a medium mode GUI. You can make your own system, and it actually isn't so hard. You'll be hopefully a little bit surprised at how easy it is, and I wouldn't have to know if it's well suited for a game with like lots of GUI components, but my game doesn't have a lot of GUI, and I just much more I'm a fan of the rapid iteration that it allows. So anyways, we've been staring at him dead for a while. Let's go back to, or let me take you to the level editor. Now, this is also retained mode actually, but it's where things really were getting complicated and hard to do, because notice here how I create this list of buttons here. I can't exactly add or remove more, but it is representing a list, a dynamic list of entities in the game. Every time I publish a new entity, it winds up on this list. So it's paginated, so I can go here, and there you go. That's the end of the list. So it's made up of buttons and labels. Everything that's yellow is a button, everything that's white is a label. And it was only recently, say, when I tried something a little bit different here. I'm going to make a little change here. Let's draw a smiley face. An angry face. That's better. Okay. We're going to save this. This is a GUI I'm working on. Working on as in like, actually I'm probably going to release it looking like this. I don't know. Maybe I'll make it look a little bit better. But the point is I can... this is now immediate mode. And notice how dynamic this is. As I type, it changes what I see here. That is because this a filter function is being ran, and it's affecting how many times I ask to place a button on the screen, and that is incredibly helpful. Let's save this as angry. All right, we'll hit save. Now a whole nother page is going to come up as the confirm page. I'll hit save again. When we save and it saves a new file, it claps for you because I want to applaud the player for using the level editor, and it's a huge achievement. They made a level, you got to clap for them. Anyways, let me take you to the file picker. Yeah, let me take you to the file picker. Okay. Let's see where we can. So I showed you the saving, right? So here's that like a switch statement like I'm talking about. And I went ahead and replaced the old saving GUI with a new system. If you scour through my blue sky, you might look and see what the old system looked like. But essentially, it didn't list all the levels out like that, and that was done that way because I was just trying to prototype like a level editor, and I just was like, I don't really have time to do anything too complicated. So it was just important to me to just, okay, can I just type something onto the screen and hit enter and save it, something like that. But this new system is actually quite, I don't know, it looks a lot more like an actual file, um, you know, or file picker kind of GUI. It's really cool. Anyways, if you are from React, you might have you might understand the idea of a component. In fact, I think before, if you are interested in doing immediate mode GUI, you should probably try React first, because it kind of gives you some of the mindset as to why or what it is immediate mode even is. Which is funny, React is an immediate mode GUI. It's or I don't know, what do they call it? They call it like declarative versus imperative or something. And maybe maybe you could describe it this the same way. I'm declaring what I want. I say I want a file picker. So I give it pick file, and it's simultaneous. It's doing two things at once. It's telling me I want GUI for picking a file, but it's also giving me it's giving me, let's look at the out parameter here. It's giving me the file path. So, and notice how I put this in an if statement. What do you think? What do you think I get if it returns true? I get a file path, which I immediately pass to try save level, which will go ahead and save my level, as well as change state and do some other things, manipulate the global state. So let's take a peek inside pick file. Notice a lot of my immediate mode GUI components kind of start like this, where they have different pages you can go to, and notice I pass it as a ref here. So this in React they call that like prop drilling. The idea like, okay, you take a prop and you drill it down a component, and then maybe you have another component that also needs that, so you drill it down again. Okay, so anyways, let's say we're on the main page. The main page is this page here. So let's clear that. What is it doing? It is, well, okay, it's getting the file name from the I pass along I limit how long you can actually name your level, like to a certain amount of characters. Oh, a little game dev hack. W is typically the widest character. It's a great character to use to kind of test to see like how many characters you might be able to fit on screen. So notice that, like, okay, so a string full of W's almost hits the save button, but a string full of A's doesn't even. It looks like it makes it halfway there. So little game dev hack for you. Anyways. Yeah, what am I doing here? Get the file name. I set up some styling, make the color white, change the font. And how am I changing that style? This is a struct, right? This struct, IamGUI label style, is going to be put into IamGUI render params. Check this out. We have the control type. I kind of intended it to be like a fat struct, where like a lot of the same pieces of data can kind of be used by both a button and a label. Like both a button and label both have a label. Like the text that goes on it. They both have bounds. They both have like a style and a state object to be attached to them. So that's what that's all about. Now. Let's see. Where was I at? I was showing you. So yeah, I was changing the style, and then I actually make one, a label. I pass it the main prompt, and I give it location, and One of the things I really like, I'm crossing my fingers here. Let's say I actually didn't like where the main prompt was located. If I change 2 to 20 and hit apply changes, notice it actually moved in the game. That is because we have hot reload working, and I think that is a really cool. Um, that's a really cool thing.
Hello, I wanted to do this voiceover to better explain why I have so much enthusiasm for Hot Reload, especially when it comes to designing the UI for the game. Now, Hot Reload is a particularly helpful technique when you're making games when you want to make tweaks to something. It helps you stay in the flow while you're making your game, and I've always found UI to be a not so exciting part of making games, but when it's done through immediate mode GUI, I actually find that that is much easier to iterate, make those tweaks because of the hot reload system. An example of this was just earlier this week, I added that delete file button to the save menu, and I never even had to recompile. I never had to stop and recompile the game. I just continued to use hot reload throughout the entire process. It was incredibly helpful to do that. There are other examples too. For instance, I was implementing the audio menu and I had this idea for an Easter egg, and it just was one extra if statement to implement, and I got to also find out, oh, hey, the text doesn't fit on screen. I didn't have to. I could just adjust the text size or put new lines in. It was very easy to make it acceptable without having to break that creative flow. And I think that is the biggest advantage to using immediate mode GUI.
If you really want to. Context. I was inspired by the Dear I'm GUI like API, so there are certain cases where it's helpful to tell the manager, like, oh, I'm in a specific, like that slider, for instance, like, okay, I'm in a slider, like begin slider and then end slider or something like that. So that's like, it can help differentiate components that kind of repeat themselves. Like you have a slider and then another slider. I can differentiate the IDs based on the context. So that's helpful. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about anything, please let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. And yeah, that's check out the game. It's available on itch.io. I'm planning to re-release again on Steam. Hopefully have some new music in as well. A few bits of polish here and there. And yeah,